Jacob Sugden has taken a major step in Emmerdale by withdrawing his complaint against Dr Todd and deciding to move forward with a clean slate. At first glance, it seems like the tension between them has eased. However, that is far from the full picture, as there are clear hints that Todd has no plans to let the matter rest, and Jacob may soon find himself under pressure again. She even starts involving Vanessa Woodfield in her wider scheme. The real concern is whether Vanessa will realize she is being manipulated before things spiral out of control. Once Todd discovered that the baby was not Jacob's, many viewers expected her to use the secret to her benefit. That prediction quickly proved correct, as she subtly pushed Charity into convincing Jacob to drop the complaint. Todd's carefully chosen words leave Charity with little doubt about the situation. If Jacob backs down, her secret remains protected. Feeling the pressure, Charity speaks to Jacob and encourages him to rethink his decision, reminding him that with family responsibilities involved, pursuing the complaint may not be worth the fallout. Jacob eventually agrees. He visits HR and confirms he is withdrawing the complaint, despite Carol expressing disappointment and revealing that others had also raised issues about Todd. Without his formal statement, there is nothing further they can pursue. Later, Jacob tells Todd directly about his decision. She appears pleased and suggests they can reset their relationship once he returns from paternity leave. However, her reaction suggests the matter is not truly settled. As Jacob walks away, Todd makes a chilling comment to Manpreet, hinting that Jacob still has difficult lessons ahead. Next week, the tension between Jacob and Todd continues to build, especially as she becomes more integrated into village life. During a pub visit, Vanessa, Todd and Manpreet end up taking part in a darts game after being paired up for a doubles match. What begins as light entertainment soon shifts, as Todd openly flirts with Vanessa, who remains unaware of the underlying agenda. Behind the scenes, Todd uses the situation to her advantage, feeding Vanessa misleading information about Jacob in an attempt to influence her opinion. Her manipulation does not stop there. The following day, she continues spreading her version of events, quietly shaping how others perceive Jacob. With more darts action ahead, and Todd drawing closer to Vanessa, pressure continues to mount on Jacob. The key question is whether he can break free from her influence, or whether this marks the beginning of a far deeper downfall. Ross Barton is set to receive a stern warning from Charity Dingle in Emmerdale next week, following the dramatic events surrounding the birth storyline, raising questions over whether he will agree to stay away from baby Leyla. Charity believes there is a real risk of Ross forming an emotional attachment to his secret daughter after he helped deliver her in recent scenes. Determined to maintain control, she makes it clear he must keep his distance. The situation unfolds as baby Leyla returns home after her dramatic arrival. Once Charity completes the official paperwork, Sarah and Jacob Sugden begin a new chapter as they are finally allowed to bring the baby home. The family home is specially decorated to celebrate the occasion, and the atmosphere is initially joyful. However, tension rises when Ross arrives at the gathering, creating an uncomfortable mood between him and Charity. She would prefer he stayed away entirely, but his existing connections to the family make that unlikely. Taking him aside, Charity warns Ross not to become emotionally involved with the baby. Since he helped during the emergency birth situation, she fears he may start to see Leyla as his own child. When Moses suggests Ross join a family photograph, Charity watches closely to see how he will respond. Ross acknowledges Charity's concerns and insists he is not part of the baby's family, although viewers are aware that this is not entirely true. He ultimately declines the photo and decides to leave, which briefly reassures Charity that he has understood her message. Previously, a DNA test confirmed that Ross is in fact the baby's biological father. He and Charity shared a secret encounter that disrupted the original surrogacy arrangement involving Charity, Jacob, and Sarah. At present, Jacob and Sarah believe the baby was conceived through IVF and that she is their biological child. However, with Dr. Todd now aware of the truth, it may only be a matter of time before everything is exposed. Wicked Dr. Todd turns baby Leyla into a weapon against Jacob in unsettling Emmerdale spoiler clip. Jacob Sugden is left deeply uneasy in Emmerdale next week after an uncomfortable run-in with Dr. Todd as he leaves hospital with baby Leyla. Todd had agreed to a fresh start after Jacob withdrew the complaint he had previously made against his so-called mentor, who has been making his working life miserable for months. As viewers are aware, the manipulative doctor has been tormenting Jacob since he began working full-time at the hospital, constantly undermining him, criticizing his decisions, and destroying his confidence. Frustrated and pushed to his limit, Jacob decided to take action last week by reporting Todd to HR. However, she quickly regained control of the situation when she stepped in to assist Charity Dingle, who had just given birth to the baby she was carrying for Jacob and Sarah. Todd then used the moment to pressure Jacob emotionally, suggesting that patients could suffer in future if she lost her job because of his complaint. With Jacob still refusing to back down, she eventually discovered the truth about baby Leyla's parentage, including the fact that Jacob is not the biological father. As viewers know, Charity slept with former partner Ross Barton around the same time the embryo transfer failed, meaning the pregnancy was not the result of the planned procedure. Wanting to secure Sarah's dream of motherhood, Charity kept the truth hidden, allowing everyone to believe the baby was biologically hers and Jacob's. Armed with this knowledge, Todd wasted no time in blackmailing Charity, demanding she persuade Jacob to withdraw his complaint or risk exposure. Charity struggled with the pressure, but ultimately convinced Jacob to step back, and he withdrew the report. Relieved, Todd promised a fresh start when Jacob returns from paternity leave. However, upcoming scenes show the pair crossing paths again at the hospital as Jacob and Sarah prepare to take baby Leyla home. Jacob is visibly unsettled by Todd's presence, especially when she leans in to observe Leyla and comments that the baby has his eyes, a remark that makes no sense given Jacob is not the father. She then praises him warmly, saying his mother would be proud, and insisting he will manage both parenthood and a medical career with ease. Her sudden friendliness leaves Jacob confused and suspicious. Has she really changed, or is something far more calculating at play? Unlikely, given her earlier warning that his problems are only just beginning. While Jacob may get a brief break during his leave, Todd is expected to continue manipulating those around him, including Vanessa Woodfield, to tighten her control. The question now is how far she is willing to go to destroy Jacob's life. Charity Dingle makes a dramatic return to Emmerdale next week after giving birth to baby Leyla, and immediately finds herself caught up in an uncomfortable and potentially damaging situation. As viewers know, Charity has been acting as a surrogate for her granddaughter Sarah Sugden and Jacob Gallagher. However, the reality is far more complicated, as she was actually carrying her own child, one conceived during a brief encounter with Ross Barton, and not Sarah and Jacob's baby as everyone believes. Determined to keep the truth hidden, Charity has gone along with the surrogacy story, despite the risk it could destroy multiple relationships if revealed. Unfortunately, Dr. Todd overheard a private phone conversation and uncovered the truth about baby Leyla's real parentage. She has since used this information to blackmail Charity as part of her own calculated agenda. In upcoming scenes, the pressure intensifies as Charity's secret hangs in the balance. Even as official paperwork is completed and Jacob and Sarah are finally allowed to take their daughter home, the threat of exposure continues to loom over her. Despite everything, Charity shows no hesitation about handing the baby over. Actress Emma Atkins has explained that Charity does not feel a strong maternal bond in this situation, describing her more as someone focused on loyalty and damage control rather than emotional attachment. Charity's homecoming takes another unexpected turn when she arrives back to find her house decorated in celebration of her return, leaving her stunned as she tries to process everything that has just unfolded. Emmerdale continues weeknights on ITV1, with episodes available from early morning on ITVX and YouTube.